I think organizations today, step-by-step instructions don't work. What you need are principles. So what are the principles that can guide yourself and your organization through whatever challenges lie ahead?
It's time to welcome to the stage, Nolan Nichols.
We already had a sack. You had a crazy guy in the studio.
Charles Sparkley. That's Nolan from Virginia Tech, man.
So Matt takes the rifle, fires, bullseye. He looks up to the leaderboard, and he's not in first. He moved down to 8th place. He looks back, and he realizes he fired at the wrong target. It's no use to hit a bullseye, but at the wrong target. How do we make sure that we succeed at the things that matter? I think the X factor for organizations today is wellness. President Lincoln once said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. A lot of times we're chopping away with dull axes. If we just took a little bit more time to sharpen. When you're a traveler, you live moment by moment. But when we live our lives, we live minute by minute instead of moment by moment. So the question for us is, how do we build more peaks to our day? Titanic's one of the highest grossing movies of all time, even to this day. But it was supposed to be this unsinkable ship. The problem was that the ship designers did not put lids on the watertight compartments. So when it hit the iceberg, it just filled up one compartment, then spilled over to the next. That happens in our week all the time. Look at our week. We hit an iceberg on Monday. The rest of the week is flooded. It's over. Not all the time, but most of the time. There's no such thing as a bad day, just bad moments that we choose to take with us all day long. Our world is in a state of disruption, and today is the slowest our world will ever be. So how do we as people and we as organizations go from surviving to thriving? I would love to customize a keynote for your audience that is full of tangible takeaways and engaging storytelling. Online, you can watch over 30 minutes worth of video content, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Leonardo DiCaprio looks 12 years old in that movie. What the heck? Titanic is one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. It came out in 1997. It was the highest grossing movie until the year 2009. Still to this day, it's in the top 10. Some rankings have it in the top 5 for highest grossing movies. Everybody knows the story that this ship that was supposed to be indestructible on its maiden voyage hits an iceberg and sinks to the bottom of the ocean. How does that happen? Well, I bet you didn't think you were going to look at Titanic blueprints this morning, but here we are, baby. So there were supposed to be watertight compartments, and you can see in red, the thought there was that if one was impacted, it would be okay, because there's watertight compartments, it wouldn't sink the whole ship. In an unfathomable way, the ship designers did not put lids on the watertight compartments. So when the iceberg hit, it filled up one compartment, spilled over to the next one, spilled over to the next one, and the boat splits in two. Somehow there's not enough room on the raft for both Jack and Rose, but I'm over it. I digress. We see this as a blunder. Like, how dumb can the engineers be? But if we're honest, this happens to us all the time. Look at our week. We had an iceberg on Monday. The rest of the week is flooded. It's over. Or somebody sends you a spicy email at 9:30 in the morning, just slam the laptop shut. Or a customer walks in, really ticks you off, and you just want to lock the doors and put, we're closed today. Sometimes it's just the little things. So what can we do to build a day-tight compartment? There are some bad days out there. I don't want to say there's no bad days. You don't have to put on rose-colored glasses. There are bad days out there. But if we're honest with ourselves, I think many times we don't have bad days, just bad moments that we choose to take with us all day long. So when a bad moment happens, how do we put a lid on it? Maybe it's, hey, I need to get outside and get some fresh air. Maybe I need to do my own 2-minute meditation. Maybe I need to talk to a friend or phone a friend for 5 minutes. Maybe there's a Spotify playlist or an Apple Music playlist. I can just pop in and just listen to a song. Or maybe I need to do some breathing exercises. What can you do to put a lid on the day to prevent one bad moment from wrecking your day, wrecking your week, and wrecking
your month. This guy his name's Matt Emmons. And you see, Matt is the world's top rifle shooter. He's in the 50-meter, 3-position rifle competition. And everybody knows that Matt is going to win this competition because he's literally head and shoulders above everybody else. In this competition, you start off shooting on your stomach, then you shoot on your knees, and then you shoot standing up. Now, you're shooting 50 meters away. So that would be like going to Jerry Jones World up the road here. You're at the 50-yard line. The target is somewhere in the end zone. Now, the target is the size of a dollar bill. So you have to be so precise that a heartbeat can throw off your shot. Some people will say that this is the most mental sport in all the Olympics. It's in the final round. Matt Emmons has 1 shot left. He has so much of a lead, he just needs to put a shot on the board, and he's got it won. He doesn't even need a bullseye, and he knows it. He's feeling pretty good. He goes up, fires, bullseye, baby. Matt Emmons is feeling really good. He's locked up the gold medal. He looks to the leaderboard, and his name's not in first anymore. It's not in second. It's not in third. Falls down to 8th place. And Matt's like, what? I got a bullseye. Like, what do you mean? He looks back, and he realizes he fired at the wrong target. It's possible to be successful, but in the things that don't matter. Sometimes failure looks like succeeding at the wrong targets. So how do we make sure, how does Cedar Hill make sure that we're firing at the things that matter? Because it's easy to get tunnel vision in life when there's a lot going on. And Matt Emmons said normally he takes a couple seconds to make sure he's aligned right, but he was just caught in the moment, rightfully so, a lot of emotions, and he didn't take a couple seconds to pause to look at the big picture. There's a lot of things that we can get distracted from. Economically, things feel very unstable. Politically, they're completely unpredictable. Technology is developing at a pace that you feel like you're more and more behind by the day. It's hard to keep up. At best, you're 10 steps behind at best. So how do we take time to make sure we're aiming at the things that matter? I think what we focused on so far with innovation, huge, people. Now we're going to talk about influence. And I think to really harness the power of influence, leaders need to double down on people and innovation. It's all three. Innovation, influence is harnessing the power of people and innovation. Now, when you think innovation, you think of new technologies, and rightfully so, but innovation is also a new way of looking at problems. So I want to put up a picture here. You've probably seen this place. It's DFW, the 4th busiest airport in America last year. I mean, it's amazing that you have this in your backyard, that you can get like anywhere in the world. Like, you build 1 mile of highway and you can go 1 mile, but you build 1 mile of runway, you can go anywhere in the world. You know, it's really amazing that you have this on your doorstep. And when you fly out of DFW, you might notice sometimes that you might be taking off a different direction one day, and then another day you're taking off the opposite direction. And that's not because air traffic control was like, I wonder what view we want to give passengers today. No, it's strategy. An airplane, this blows my mind. An airplane uses less fuel when it takes off against the wind than with the wind. That you can have a huge international jumbo jet engine airplane, and it will use less fuel when it takes off against the wind than with the wind. It's because the headwinds, the challenges aren't bringing the airplane down, they're lifting it higher. And that when you have a good engine in your life, something that you could dial up, some power-ups, you can turn the headwinds, the challenges, into moments of lift. So when there's a lot of things going on, a lot of challenges, how do we in this room, how does Cedar Hill approach it that, hey, these challenges, yeah, these are headwinds, but I want to use this to lift us higher, to lift our people higher, to lift our businesses higher, and not drag us down. to do that, we really have to be hyper-focused on what are the things that truly matter. And what we're going to go over today are 5 power-ups. Certainly there's more. We could go on and on, but I want to give you 5 power-ups that I think can apply to you and your business and yourself personally as a leader that can really level up your leadership game, and at the same time will also level up your business. Now, there are going to be some, at the end of this presentation, there will be a QR code or a website where you can download the slides, download the notes, so there's no pressure to try to keep up with everything. And there'll be a one-pager that you can take with you as well. But before we get started, I know it's been a big morning. We're going to take 2 minutes to do a quick meditation exercise. So if you can close your eyes, there's going to be some background music, some prompts. We'll do a quick meditation, and then we'll jump into our first power-up.
To start out, I want us to focus on breathing. Breathing in, allowing the air to fully fill up our lungs. And breathing out and fully releasing that air. Now I want you to think about all the stress and mental fatigue and all the things weighing on your mind that you brought into this moment. I want you to picture it being like a heavy backpack that you've been lugging around. But now I want you to think about what it would feel like to take off that backpack and that feeling of freedom. I want you to channel what that would feel like to take the weight off your back. Now I want you to picture, where do you find the most peace at? Is it by the beach? By a river? In the mountains? In a forest? I want you to picture yourself in the most peaceful place for you. And lastly, I want you to hold on to this feeling of your mind being fully relieved of all the stresses in your life and your body being at total relaxation, and that your mind and body have an overwhelming feeling of peace in this moment.
Okay, you can open your eyes, or you can wake up. It's okay if you took a quick power nap. It's been a long day. It's okay. So we're going through 5 power-ups that we can turn the headwinds, the challenges, into moments of lift. 5 things that are targets worth aiming for. First power-up is the power of the journey. You might recognize this person. This person, Robin Roberts, one of the co-anchors of Good Morning America. She was the first black female sports journalist at ESPN. She's a true trailblazer and inspirational icon in every way. When I was in college, I started in video production, and I thought for a time I wanted to work for Good Morning America behind the scenes. So I DM'd somebody on LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, can I just come to New York City to shadow a production of Good Morning America? And somehow they said yes. So I went up, and I was able to meet Robin. I don't know what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a raincoat inside a studio. Just a very interesting time in young Nolan's life. But, I go up there and I'm seeing a production and I'm in the control room and there's all these TVs, people in the room, they all have specific roles. There's one person who's watching a TV on the Today Show. One of those screens is the Today Show. So while they're doing Good Morning America, they're watching the Today Show. I'm like, that's weird. It's because it's such an intense rivalry between the Good Morning America and the Today Show. And the reason for that is it deals with people's habits. So if you grew up watching the Today Show, or that's part of your morning routine, something has to be going really wrong for you to switch that channel and disrupt your habit. And for 16 straight years, Good Morning America was coming in second place to the Today Show. And when you're Robin Roberts and you're waking up at 3 a.m. every day and you're constantly in second place, that's tough. But they were chipping away, making small gains week over week, and eventually in April of 2012, they find out, this crew, that they have finally beat the Today Show. They're finally the #1 rated morning show in America. ABC News rents out to this rooftop in Manhattan to celebrate this monumental achievement. And they're all on this rooftop. You can imagine Robin Roberts would be pretty happy. But earlier that same day, she found out that she'd been diagnosed with MDS, severe blood cancer disorder, had 1 to 2 years to live without an effective treatment. She got that call that same day. She hadn't told anybody yet, so she's up on this rooftop in Manhattan celebrating this monumental achievement and at the same time having a mix of emotions. And she said this, she said, "I'm so glad I didn't save all my joy for the destination because I would have missed the journey along the way." Here's how she says it in her words.
We have an idea how we're going to feel once we land that big venture, once we start that company, once we get married, once we have children, once. And you realize that the destination is not what it's about, it's the journey. If you don't take the time to enjoy the journey. Life is a journey, it's not a destination. There are no mistakes, there's chances we've taken. Lay down your regrets because all we have is now. Enjoy the journey.
You all that are, business owners or leaders, you should have goals. You should have dreams. Those things are really important. But if you're saving all your joy and happiness on achieving and checking the box on these goals and dreams, that's incredibly risky. Like, how do you take joy in the journey today, moment by moment? That the destination is the journey. I'm not saving for me to feel accomplished before I have joy in today. Neil Pastrika, in his book called The Happiness Equation, he was saying how society is kind of wrapped around this model where it says, hey, you do great work, that's going to lead to success, and that will lead to joy. But it's completely backwards. Joy isn't an output, it's an input. If we start with joy first, that will motivate us to do great work. And then that will motivate to success in however you define it. So how do we build joy into the journey? And that brings us to our second power up, the power of building peaks. I want you to pretend you're in this magical land. And this magical land has aisles and aisles of just about anything you can imagine. This magical land is Target. Or Target, depending how you pronounce it. So you're in Target. You come across your friend Micah and Colleen in one of the aisles, and you saw on Instagram recently, because they were doing a reel, because they saw that panel just ahead, and they're like, I need to do more reels. They go to Paris, they do a reel, you see it, you see them in Target, and you ask them, Mike and Colleen, how was your trip to Paris? You know what they're going to say. Oh, it was great. What a dreamy city. You should go. Let's rewind the tape. Let's go back to when Mike and Colleen were going on their trip to Paris. So they start off, they go to the airport, they didn't realize that their ticket did not come with free check bag, so they pay $75 per person, they're $150 in the hole, and the trip hasn't even started yet. They look at their boarding pass, it does not have TSA pre-check on it, they have to get on a normal line, and then they barely make it to their gate in time, but it's a red-eye flight, and the planes are super, super tight, they get absolutely no sleep, they get to the airport, everything's in French, they don't know one French word, they need to find the metro, they finally find the metro, they look at the map, they have no clue where their hotel is based on this map, they find the train, but they get on the wrong train, they finally get on the right train, they get to the street, and there's trash everywhere. This is not the clean Paris they thought it was going to be. They get to the hotel, and it's really, really tight. There's only room for one person with their luggage at a time to go to the hotel room. They get to the hotel room. They're like, okay, let's just go to the Eiffel Tower. We need a win. We're going to the Eiffel Tower. There is not a square inch to sit down. They're finally like, let's just get something to eat. But they're really small paper metro tickets in Paris. They misplace it. They have to get a new one. They get to a Parisian restaurant, a little bit too Parisian because they have no clue what they're ordering. They really don't like the meal. They're like, let's just go to the Louvre. They wait in a really long line to go to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa, which is honestly pretty underwhelming. So the question is, why do Micah and Colleen say it was a great trip when we just went minute by minute for the first 12 hours and it was subpar at best? Is because they want to feel good about all the money they spent? Maybe a little bit. No, it's because they think of 3 moments when you ask them how's their trip. They think of this one meal that they knew what they were ordering. They're outside, people watching for hours, a slight breeze in the air. They think of this park, people playing chess, checkers, the gardens, Eiffel Tower in the distance. Time felt like it was standing still. They think of the top of every hour, how the Eiffel Tower would sparkle for 5 minutes. They think of the moments and not the minutes. Think about your own trips. You go on a trip to New York City, you're going to see some things you wish you didn't see. You're going to smell some things you wish you didn't smell. But you're going to see this awesome Broadway show, and you're going to be like, this is an amazing trip. This was incredible. When we're traveling, we grade things by the moments and not the minutes. But when we're living our lives, we flip it. We grade by the minutes instead of by the moments. If we're honest with ourselves, a lot of problems that we're faced with, both personally and professionally with our jobs, we're not able to fix. What we can do is influence what are the peaks that we can build. So like for me, I wake up every morning a little bit, 15 minutes earlier, I do a walk just to get my mind in the right frame of mind. This morning I walked Hillside Village. It was an amazing place. It really felt like a town square there. It had such a cool feel. You know, that's a peak that I build in my day. Or maybe for you, it's like, hey, you know, I grew up playing tennis. I want to join a tennis club on Wednesday night. Or I'm going to pick my kid up from school on Friday, and it's going to be Ice Cream Friday. Or maybe at your job, you take 2 minutes every Friday, and you write a handwritten note to one of your teammates, and be like, you're doing a great job. I see you. That will be something that they will cherish, a handwritten note for the rest of the week, the month, maybe the year. It lifts them up, and it lifts you up. Or maybe you start off a team meeting, just kind of giving high fives and recognizing other people, or letting your teammates recognize other people. What can you do to build peaks in your own life and peaks for your staff and your teammates as well?